Now I'm gonna mix together some blue and white here. Blue and white, honestly just a little bit of red would be nice, not much. I don't know that I really want to turn it into like purple, but just a little red is nice. Prussian blue, white, a little bit of red. Not much. Right up here, I'm gonna paint in. There we go, just the top portion of the sky. I love that little tinge of red because it's gonna create a safe area for blending with my little yellow ochre tones that I've got planned. So a little more white, a little more red. And again, just creating a safer spot. Otherwise it just gets so, it gets so green. We don't want green. Okay, a little bit more of that red in there. Blend it though, I don't want to see, there we go. I don't want to see too much of a variation. I want it to be fairly uniform. Very soft. Okay. Let me stand back and look, it looks good. Get rid of any major brush hairs. Set that to the side. Let me grab a 1-inch brush, clean 1-inch brush. Take some, you know what, I don't need that clear gel. I'm probably not gonna use it anymore, so just get rid of it. I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow ochre, and some red, but mostly yellow ochre and white. I'm gonna place that just right here along that horizon. Hopefully that shows. I can certainly see it in person. I'll go just a little more yellow. Well, I kind of want to get my Hansa yellow, but Hansa yellow, it makes a worse green. It really does. It makes a worse green. So be very careful here. Be very careful. Now I'm going to one time go up and just feather this edge where these two meet. I'm not going to go back down. Just going to feather that edge. If I see green, I'll stop immediately. I don't see any green. I did put quite a bit of red in this little area and there's not a lot of paint. There you go. I think we got away with it. Now using the filbert brush, I'm gonna take some red and blue and white. This right here will be fine. Actually, that's a good place to start. A little more red and honestly a little more white. I want it extremely light. We can go with different variations of this, but I want to start. So look how light that is. It's super light. And let me start. I think it's not, well, let me add a little more white to it just in case, but it's probably okay. There we go. It's just about right, actually. Just about right for that little background mountain. I want it to be so distant. There, that's all it needs. Super subtle. And I'm gonna go a little bit darker here. Like, how did I get it so much darker? I didn't add anything else to the brush. I'm just pushing down harder. Just pushing down harder. And also there's nothing there for it to mix with. And it was kind of mixing with the sky a little bit up here. Okay. Over here as well. Kind of get, yeah, a mountain like that. That looks pretty good. There we go. And just a little bit more snow. Perhaps right there. Just boom. Just something to have. It doesn't need to be perfect. Yeah. Cool. And perhaps there's some snow like right down there. Maybe it gets a little bit more shade down in there. And you know what could be interesting? Let's try some yellow. A little bit of our Hansa yellow, yellow ochre, and some of our leftover mountain color. A little more leftover mountain color. I want it to lean into the green side just a little. Okay, I think that does. And right up here, let's just hit a little bit of green on this mountain side. I think that'll look neat. Subtle. Subtle is good. There, yeah, that'll work. Now a little more on the yellow ochre side with white. There we go. Okay, so there's something back there. See that? Just to, I like that. Just to show, hey, there is a little something going on. Now we certainly have choices on how we want to work forward in this painting, but I'm going to go ahead and take a 1-inch brush. Let's try it like this. I'll take some Hansa yellow, yellow ochre, some titanium white, and just a little bit of that background color. Not much, just enough. You could use green, but I like the idea of using the background color because it helps to tie the painting together with color. It makes things look, to me, a lot more unified. Okay, back here. I'm going to just rub and create, just a distant little field of grass, like so. Yeah, something along those lines. It's just not rocket science. Oh, it doesn't look like much yet, but before I go dark, I'm gonna go with a little light. White, yellow ochre, Hunza yellow, mostly white. And I'm just gonna spread that again. On top, honestly, could be a little whiter. A little whiter. There we go. That's kind of pretty. And then right here, yeah, a little whiter. And then this one here, a little whiter as well. People are gonna think I'm saying wider, but no, whiter. You just don't use that word much. If it is even a word, it's good for art. Okay, there we go. That needs to be just a tiniest bit more highlighted there. Oh, that's way too much paint. That's way too much paint. You'll never get that to look right. I'm just gonna scoop it off and blend it in. There we go. Oh, I like that. Blue and white. Let's see what that looks like. Because I just want these, that's it right there. I just want these little trees, which are gonna help to link the foreground to the background. And I'm really, oh yeah, I'm liking that. I'm just tapping them in. Like, how did you paint all that tree? Well, I just tapped it in. Just, let me show you one. Probably should explain it a little. Probably should. Just give myself a line, and that line kind of starts me in the right direction. And then I'll just sort of use the corner, starting vertically, and then I'll bring it out horizontally. And just sort of tap it and flick it like this. I am actually sliding the brush in a lot of cases, not every single case, but a lot of the cases for middle ground evergreens, I will indeed slide the brush. Because what that does is it just creates a little softness. Now using that fan brush, let's take some blue, some blue as I go into the red. Blue and red. I do that a lot actually. All right, let's take some sap green, burnt umber, black. All right, I actually want a pretty dark color. Not as dark as we could go, but pretty dark. Somewhere in there, and it definitely, because it has that strong purple base. That was black, I really want blue. Because it's got that strong purple base, I feel like it's going to work pretty well in the context of the painting. Oh, that's just about right. That is really good. That's just what I wanted. It's about the right shade of grayish green purple. Bring that tree all the way up here. I like having the idea of it breaking the mountains there, just to add some variety to the painting. There we go. I'm gonna use some strokes left and right just to fill it in. Just to fill it in. Bring it out a little wider perhaps. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe I see another one right here. Maybe that one doesn't break the top mountain. So we get variety. I like that. Of course I say that, but I'm gonna fix the top and it may grow. Trees grow in a painting faster than anywhere else, don't they? They just grow, whether you want it to or not. Okay. I like that same color. Let me just get something on this edge, because I'm a big fan of things on the edges. Yeah, the frame covers it, but maybe not totally. See, that kind of keeps your eye from flying off the side of the painting. I think that's so important. And it wouldn't hurt, while I got this fan brush in my hand, let's go ahead and underpaint some of my grassy stuff here. So I'm gonna take some Hunza yellow, yellow ochre, some of that old color from the trees, and this is the underpainting, so it can be a little darker, but I want some of this underpainted down here. Good, a little blue right into that, cool it down some. I like to create depth within my underpainting. If my underpainting has depth, we're going to the other corner, just because I got the color in the brush. If my underpainting has depth, then my whole painting will come to life very quickly. If I sort of paint it all in one flat, like for instance, I just took a dark green and paint the whole thing in with dark green, it's gonna be very challenging to get anything on top of that to look good. But if you build a lot of this in the underpainting stage, then it's very easy to get it to look good later. That is depth. Want to build what? Build depth in the underpainting. I don't want to do too much down here because it will get covered with the water when we go to do all that we're going to do to the water. So there is some amount of planning and some amount of doing it smart, so you don't have to just paint over the same area 3 times. Some days I kind of adhere to that more than others. There we go. Now I need to do something before I paint my bridge, which is I'm going to take a shop towel and rip it into little pieces And I'm going to place it up here on my grass because there's so much paint. I'm gonna remove some of that excess paint just by absorbing it into the towel. I don't necessarily want to go over my water area. What this is gonna do is it's going to allow me to paint with greater detail than I would normally if I didn't do this. I'm gonna take some burnt umber, yellow ochre, and a little bit of purple. So I have a little purple left over there. Okay, a little black maybe. I'm trying to create a color, a little red. I've got everything in here now. What color? I'm just trying to create a brown that I'm happy with. This color is I'm happy with brown. That's the name of it. Okay, right here. Let's go ahead and get this bridge in. I'm gonna darken it because it is mixing. Yeah, okay. Using a 1/4 inch brush. I don't know if I said that or not. Yeah, that looks good. Look at that. Now, depending on where you're looking at it, it'll look more slanted or less slanted. I think what I need to do is I want to bring that out just a little thicker. A little too thin. And I'm also going to change the slant of it just a little. Of course, you need to watch this video through one time before you attempt it on your own. So that way you kind of know when I make adjustments. So I just made that adjustment. I just changed the tilt of it a little. Yeah, let me look. So it's not quite as dipping down. I do want it dipping down a little, but not much. Now I'm going to take my yellow ochre, white, and I'm going to create a highlight on top. Just like so. Bridges are not the easiest thing in the world sometimes to deal with. But if you just sort of take them step by step, they're not bad. They're not bad. And I'm going to, if I can, just put in a couple indication of like board just by kind of slashing through like so. Yeah, that's not bad. You could use the 3/4 flat or the 1/4 flat. I'm just gonna drag it down. This is nice. Just drag it down. Okay, take this and drag it down. Beautiful little reflections. Take some of that color. Well, I'll just get it from the palette and drag it down. It's just that color right there. Hey, you know what? This is a little tedious, I admit, but it's not bad. And it's kind of fun. Hopefully you're enjoying. This is a slightly different subject for sure. No doubt. Make sure that line is right because the perspective, you know. Well, it wouldn't be that drastic, would it? Making up my mind as I go. And a little water line. Just to show, hey, that's where the shoreline is. Right here, I'm gonna take some white, some yellow ochre, white and yellow ochre, a little bit of just leftover gray. And I might just place in a stone or two. I've done this many times, several times before, even on lessons, these little stones. And they're fun. I tell you what, the thing about stones is, they're easy for what they are. They look kind of good and complicated, but they're actually super easy. So we'll do some of these little stones. Now, my thought is that the stones really come out to the width of the bridge. They're not like recessed under the bridge. The bridge is so narrow. So that's why you see like no major drop shadows really on these rocks. You know, they're not like shrouded in shadow or anything like that. There, and that is why. There we go, just to show, hey, there's something. And then, because I think color, you know, your painting really will be separated by color from the competition around you, color. So it makes the biggest difference, okay? There we go. Yeah. And then just real quick, I need to just define, oh, I got some yellow ochre, put that there. Just define this one more time. There, I want that reflection to be good and soft. I might even just take a clean dry brush here and just take a little bit of that light and just soften, blur that edge there just a little. And then lastly, just crisp up this bottom line here. Now let me remove these shop towels. Oh yeah, you feel how, well no you don't, but you can kind of see how kind of sticky they are. There's a lot of resistance. That's just about right. That is just about right. Okay. So depending on how long you take to paint your bridge and stuff, you may want to pull those a little earlier. But as it is, that paint is nice and sticky. I've got something that is going to be a lot safer. But let's ignore that for a moment and take our yellow ochre. That's a pretty color. I do like yellow ochre, a little bit of red, titanium white. And let's underpaint. Let's underpaint right here, this road. You know what's fun? Or the footpath. What's really fun is by having a color that's kind of extreme like this, it's very, very salmon color, is I can put a little of that in the middle, and that's all fun. But when I hit it against the green, look at that, it instantly becomes brown. So I have all these shades of color in here automatically. Isn't that neat? I really like that. I really like that. There we go. Little by little, we're starting to build this up, and I'm really enjoying where it's going. I do need to save time for rocks. Don't let me forget about rocks. Kind of pretty. Kind of pretty. Okay. Boy, I could just spend all day doing this sort of stuff. It's just too bad I don't have the time. Let's go over here. Let's go over here and let's do this. Some of my same colors. Maybe I'll use sap green. Maybe I'll use some sap green. And get a little highlight in over here. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. Maybe a little highlight on some of this. Some of these bushes and shrubs over here. Actually, I like the idea of going more white. White and sap green, less yellow. See, if all you have is green bushes, then you've got to change it up. Make it stand out, make it different. Let there be some variety in it. Otherwise, it's just going to look kind of repetitive. And there you go. So get some of those bushes in just with the corner of the fan brush is fine. Okay, and then if you want to, you can take something like, I don't know, filbert brush. And then just sort of shape, kind of just by tapping or whatever, just sort of shape the outside of that bush a little. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Next, I'm going to paint some rocks, and these will go in. Pretty straightforward, not gonna worry too much about them. There's some brown, some white, blue, red, brown and white. That's my color. Not totally dark black, I think, because this painting just doesn't call for dark black in my rocks today. It's too light. It's a very light painting. Just do a few of these. Now, I like that reflection, and I'm actually going to ruin the reflection if I try to put rapids here. I think my rapids were, when I sketched it, they were landing somewhere over there. So let's put the rapids. If maybe we don't even want rapids. We don't have. It's my painting. I do whatever I want. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just go with it. Yes, creative process. Oh, that's a little darker than that. Yeah, it's okay because it's a foreground. So. There we go. Just getting in some of these colors and these rocks, like so. I don't see any rocks. We'll find them later. All right, I've got some fresh white here. I'm going to do some water lines, white, and of course a little red just to warm it up. It needs that little touch of red to warm it. Detail round brush, you could use the liner brush, but the detail round will be fine. Now it's super misty back here. We don't see anything hardly, but I'm just going to begin to work in this lighter area. And then as I sneak over here to the dark, and I'll wipe my brush on the paper towel, and then go back out here to the light and then bring it across, then wipe it again. And that's how I'm going to work. Never from dark to light, always light to dark until I get this established. Then I can pull, because I do want some dark ones, but I don't want to become like that right there. Whoops. A couple of those are okay because they do act as shadow. And honestly, I don't want to ruin my reflection. I spent probably more time than I should have on it. Now I'm going to take a few of these dark ones and sneak them in. Hopefully this is going to make the water look a lot more finished. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this tree, and I don't need it to be too crazy bright or anything like that. It's not that kind of a tree. Take a shop towel just because I think it would look good. Crumple it up, and I'm going to just blot and get rid of some of this paint on the inside. It won't take me very long to do it. Just blot, 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 and get rid of that paint. And then we take a little bit more yellow ochre, a little bit of sap green, and just work. I'm not gonna spend all day, just work it in and around, just to create a little bit more texture, atmosphere there. See that? It's not all bland, one big blob of color. It's different colors, and it's working into the tree, but you can see how easy that is to create a beautiful look. Whereas if that was done without wiping the canvas first, without blotting it and getting rid of that paint, this would be just a muddy mess. And I've done it enough times to know that it would be a muddy mess. I used to limit the amount of paint as I put it on the canvas. I don't do that as much. I just put it on thick and heavy and I take it off, because that way it's faster and it's so much easier to paint it that way. I like that sap green. Only got one tree to paint. A little bit hard to hide, if you know what I mean. You know, it's when you have only one tree, it stands out. People look at that tree. Now let me take some of this is just the detail brush and some of our grassy tones, and I'm just going to kind of overhand and do a couple of little touches of color here to this tree. It's a little different of a variety of trees than that other one, and I don't want the color on it too bright, really. Don't want it too bright. A little more yellow ochre. My colors there, just everywhere. Get that in. Just take a few minutes to get that in. Just a stroke here and there. I think if you go over this too much, you know, it'll be too, you know, you might get too much busyness. I want this to be soft. This is one of the rare times where in a painting, I'm just going for kind of more smudgy atmosphere and less crispy detail, but not in a bad way, in a good way, I think. And I think with a beautiful dark frame around it would look really nice. And if your paintings become too crazy to where it's just like you won't let yourself be loose and enjoy it, then you're probably trying to be too perfect. Close your eyes and throw it in. That's what I tell people all the time when I'm teaching, is close your eyes and throw it in. And it's kind of silly, but there's some truth to it, because so much of the time we're just too worried about it. And it just needs to be random like that. My fence, I was wanting my fence to go off straight, and my brain just started going with the road, because that's what I usually do. And you know what? It looks good. Why would I worry about it? There always has to be room in my paintings for flexibility and for changes on the go. There you go. Let's go ahead and liner brush the details in, as well as liner brush grass and stuff. So let's take some just leftover paint. I'm using, as you can see down here, just a little bit of walnut oil. You could use linseed oil. Don't go out of your way to try to buy walnut oil. Just linseed oil works exactly the same. And I'm going to just touch out a couple of these little highlights on the rocks, boom, 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 and make them more crisp. See, like this one here, more crisp. That one, sharpen them up a little. This is not as thin as it is for grass. This is a bit thicker because I'm more painting my details with it. You know, I would never do this, 5 or 10 years ago. But the more I paint, the more I realize I like detailing my landscapes with a liner brush, because the paint sticks. And you don't have to use the liner brush as thin as ink all the time. You can do it like I'm doing it right here, where it's fairly creamy. I got it about as thin as peanut butter. I don't know. It's thick. And that really totally works for creating these details. Plus the fact that that's such a long brush makes it so incredibly soft, and you can get a lot of mileage with it. And it really does stick well over the painting. Sometimes you get a little blob when you paint with a liner brush. So if you get that, make sure you're in motion before you touch down on your canvas. What you're probably doing is touching down and then starting your motion. But if you start with motion first and then touch on your canvas, then you'll have a better looking blade of grass. There we go. Well, that wraps things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned a lot from it. Don't forget to check out our website, our DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.